Hi everyone. What a really powerful talk for me to come on and follow. So today I'm going to be talking about the research that I use, the research method that I use in particular, and that's something called photo-elicitation. And photo-elicitation is something I use as a health psychologist to explore health experiences and what it's like to go through particular health phenomena. And I use this quite a lot now in my research, and I really enjoy it. And I want to convince you why it's a really good way to collect data from your participants. So why photographs? So for a long time, people have documented their lives through photographs. We all remember looking back through old photo albums of family events and reminiscing and thinking about the things that we've gone through in life. And as time's moved on, our ability to take photos has become much easier. So lots of people now have their smartphone or something that they just snap. Events that happen to them, you send them on WhatsApp, you share them on social media, and you tell a lot of people about your lives, and you give them that visual insight into their lives. And it helps you understand what other people are going through, and it helps you reflect on those experiences. So I use that within my research to understand these health experiences. So normally, I'm a qualitative researcher, so traditional qualitative research usually uses interviews, general interviews. So you'd come up with a schedule of questions, you ask those questions, and you explore something with your participants. What that does is gives you kind of looking through some binoculars an insight into the lives of the person that you're talking to. What I think photographs do is kind of cross those boundaries a little bit. So I've got the two circles on there where you can see you've got your horizons of understanding, what you know about the topic. You've got your participants' horizons of understanding what they know. And by looking at a photograph together, you sort of cross those boundaries a bit and you take a bit more of a step into their shoes to understand what's going on for them. And photographs also are something that we capture before we reflect on what has happened to us. So we're capturing it at that moment. So it gives us another access point into that kind of pre-reflective, before you've kind of made a story of what's happened to you, you've captured that image. And through looking at those images with someone and getting them to talk about it, we start to access what they were going through at the time. So I argue that these kind of approaches, this approach to using photographs to get your data, helps to do two things. So firstly, it helps to widen your horizons as a researcher. It broadens your understanding of your participants' experience. It helps you to take a walk alongside them in their shoes through that visual of that life event or the visual of the meaning of that life event for them. But also, from doing this type of research, I've also discovered that it deepens participants' reflections about what is happening to them. So by looking back on something that's happened to them in the past, they get a new understanding about what that experience means and what it was like going through it. And I'm going to use some examples, some research that I've done to show you exactly how I think this happens. So in terms of a typical process, to get you an idea of how I get to this data, the research that I've been doing, usually I ask about a particular health experience. I'll ask our participants to spend maybe a week or so collecting images of that experience that they feel reflects what has happened to them in their life or what this experience means for them. And then I ask them to bring those photographs to an interview with me where I talk to them about those photographs. So in terms of a typical process, I start off by some warm-up questions, so just some general getting to know the person, getting to know about their experience of whatever health phenomena it is. And then we look at the photos together. So I ask them, which photo would you like to start with? We look at it together and we talk about why they've chosen it. So they tell me why they've chosen it, what it represents about their experience, how they felt when it was being taken, how they felt looking back on that experience. And it helps me to understand what they went through, but it helps them to reflect. And it also means that they, as participants, are leading that interview. So when you conduct a standard interview, you normally pick the questions, and while you keep them open, you've decided, where am I going with this? Whereas this process allows the participant to tell us exactly what is important to them. And then at the end, a clean-up question. Was there anything that we didn't talk about around this topic that you think is really important that we should have discussed? So I'm going to talk about two projects that we did. So the one that kicked it all off was a project with one of my MSc students. We were looking at quality of life experiences of people with chronic pain and paraplegia. So this was my MSc student's area of interest. And we decided we'd use photo-elicitation to do that. There's a QR code that takes you to the paper, but I can send you the paper if you're interested in it. And so this is an example from a quote from that study. So the participant said, I chose this image to show independence. If you look at the photograph, I took the picture where the sink is at a lower level to show that I can use it now with ease. With my old kitchen, that's all I felt I had to keep doing was shouting my husband to pass me this, pass me that. And that takes the quality of life away from both of us. So being able to do that myself gives me independence, and I can see it's as peace for my husband. So you can see from the quote how this issue helped them in terms of their quality of life. But this isn't their picture because they didn't give permission to share it. But you can see when you add in a picture, it helps you to understand from their perspective why these adaptations that were made to the kitchen helped to give this person quality of life. But it also deepened their reflections. So we went on to ask them, can you tell me what you plan to do with this photograph? And this person said, I kept it because until the photo was taken, I didn't really give it much thought. To me, the kitchen was there, put there, but it's been helpful because I was asked to take the photograph and think about it. I've looked at it in a lot more depth, and it's got a lot more meaning to me now. It gives me better quality of life in things I can do now. So you can see, from what the participant is saying, they've used this photograph to get in touch with what that meant for them and understand how it led to them having better quality of life. The other project that I want to talk about, and I've done lots of these projects, so I could have picked loads, is my favourite one. So this one was about exploring experiences of breastfeeding a child who was over 12 months of age. So we did the same process. We asked women to go out and take photos of what it's like to go through that experience. Again, there's a QR code that takes you to a sway that depicts some of the pictures of this, and you can see some of the pictures that were shared along the bottom of there as well. So the first quote from one of these participants. So we're asking about a picture that she shared with us, and she says, I suppose guilt because she was upset, and taking a photo of her when she was upset, but also guilt that I was saying no to her, and perhaps when she needed me, and actually having to say that I'm really tired, my boobs are really sore, and I don't want to feed her again. And I asked how you feel looking back on that, and she said, I probably feel more guilty because I think, oh, why didn't you just feed her? Look, poor baby, she's really upset. And there was this theme around wanting to do what's best for their child, but also that wanting my body back. I can't always give this to you. And I think when you add the picture back in, you can see exactly where that guilt comes from. You can see why that poor child's little face would make her feel exactly like that. So this same participant actually wrote to me after the research and said she wanted to share this, and she said I had permission from her to share it further. And she talked about how she was proud of taking part in the research, but also that how she realised after talking to us as an experienced and confident mother, my thoughts and feelings on breastfeeding are completely conflicted, and there's still an aspect of feeling like what I should and shouldn't do. The questions you asked really highlighted that and made me realise how hard it can be for mothers who are already feeling so much guilt and have to justify all their decisions to friends, family and society as a whole. And again, it's that deepening that reflection through going through that process. So I think photo-elicitation is really powerful. It helps us get participants involved. It helps participants enjoy the process, and it's really valuable for widening our horizon and deepening those participant reflections. So a quick thank you for my paraplegia and plane project with Mel Hughes and Rob Dempsey, Extended Breastfeeding, Sarah Dean, Alison Owen and Jennifer Taylor. And those are all my other photo-elicitation ones. If anyone's interested in hearing about any more, come and talk to me. Thank you.